At last, Nvidia is finally saying it with confidence that it has the GeForce RTX 30 series graphics cards in stock. We also have a leaked B650 chipset motherboard that was running a Ryzen 7000 series CPU. And finally, we have the latest ARC A350M fully unlocked that is now providing performance as much as 2 times higher than before. So almost after 1.5 years, Nvidia is confidently saying that the RTX 30 series graphics cards are now available. I don't know what they mean by this. Yes, the GPUs were already available, but they were just overpriced, and we all know that Nvidia benefited from them a lot. Now as prices are declining on a daily basis, some GPUs are really close to the MSRP. Now I think that when Nvidia knows that the demand is not that high as it was previously and the availability is much better, they are trying to get rid of RTX 30 GPUs by advertising that they have restocked the inventory again. This is why they are lowering down the prices day after day, trying to gain as much as profit from the inflation, even if it is not as high as it was a few months before. But despite advertising that they have restocked and reloaded the RTX 30 GPUs, when you check the online stores which Nvidia has linked from its GPU store page, you will find almost none of the GPUs available for the MSRP. So it's just another empty promise and a big lie that they now have all the GPUs in their inventory. This is really so much disappointing and such a shameless advertisement by Nvidia after 18 months of the launch of Ampere GPUs. They should just stop marketing about their GPUs when they are not available as they are claiming. Next, we have a leaked screenshot of a B650 chipset motherboard BIOS. The leaker HXL posted this pic on Twitter, where it is clear that the motherboard used is an MSI MAG B650 motherboard with an AMD Ryzen 7000 CPU. This CPU is running at a high voltage of 1.53 volts, which means that the Ryzen 7000 series CPUs might be monster in overclocking and will also generate a lot of heat. As we know from the previous reports, Ryzen 7000 CPUs are going to have more cores than the 6000 series CPUs, and they are going to use the 3D V-Cache chiplet design which is shared by the Ryzen 5800X 3D. The flagship Ryzen 7000 CPU is supposedly going to feature 16 cores and a TDP of 170 watts, which is 65 watts more than the flagship Ryzen 6000 CPU. The new series is expected to launch this year, and with that we will see a brand new LGA1718AM5 socket that will be present on the B650 chipset motherboards. Next, we have a South Korean YouTuber Bullslab who has unlocked the performance of ARC A350M through disabling DTT. DTT or Dynamic Tuning Technology is Intel's feature that automatically and dynamically allocates power between an Intel CPU and Intel discrete GPU to improve battery life. While Intel claims that DTT is there to provide improved CPU and GPU performance, it looks like there is some sort of bug that is hindering the performance of ARC GPU. Bullslab tried disabling the feature and the results were surprising. Almost every game now gets double performance boost, which makes it a lot faster than we previously thought. If you remember, Bullslab was the first one to benchmark the A350M GPU, which didn't perform well, and according to the previous benchmarks, it was slower than the GTX 1650. But now as you unlock the performance, it may easily outperform the 1650 by a huge margin. Basically what we can see here is that with DTT on, the GPU usage is very low at around 50 to 60%. This can also be seen in the previous benchmarks where some games have as low as 39% of GPU usage. After switching DTT off, the GPU can now be utilized more than 90% in every game. So DTT is simply trying to manage the battery life and isn't helpful at all in maintaining the gaming performance. This means that the slowest ARC GPU can actually deliver 60 plus FPS in most titles, and according to this test, the higher end mobile GPUs can perform even better than we thought. Thankfully, this DTT won't be there to hinder the performance of desktop ARC GPUs, and according to a new leak, the ARC A770 desktop GPU is featuring 2400 MHz clock frequency. This leak was spotted on Geekbench, where we can clearly see that the flagship Alchemist A770 GPU with 512 execution units is featuring 150 MHz more clock frequency than Intel advertised before. However, as you can see, the memory size here is only 12.7 GB, which again is an issue with the hardware detecting, but the proper VRAM size will be 16 GB GDDR6, which will run at a speed of 17.5 Gbps compared to 14 and 16 Gbps memory used on the RTX 30 series and the RX 6000 series GPUs. It has 4096 FP32 cores and only 175 watts of TDP, which makes it more power efficient than its possible competitors from red and green team. Hopefully it will also compete with them in gaming performance, and if this happens then we can see more graphics cards in stock for better prices. However, the first batch of desktop ARC GPUs are rumored to see a delay and might not launch before the late second or the early third quarter. And talking about gaming performance, we have some serious trouble with Intel Alder Lake CPUs. Watch this video right here where I talk about the bending problem of Alder Lake CPUs and how Intel is ignoring to fix this. Till then, goodbye and I will see you in the next one.